A very good afternoon everybody, and welcome to this live streaming launch event for the brand new 4th generation Jazz and also the Jazz Crossstar. My name is Duncan from Honda UK, and we hope you're all safe and well at home and looking forward to the next sort of 40-45 minutes where we want to really whet your appetite with the technology, the advancements, and just show off what we've done with this brand new Jazz, because we're very proud of it. So here at Honda, we've got 60 years experience almost of making cars, designing them, producing them, looking after them, and each incarnation has to be better than the previous one, and that's a really tall order. So many of you will be existing Jazz owners and you'll know how good they've always been. So imagine if you were a designer getting that brief of having to make an already fantastic car even better, and that's what they've done. So we want to take you through kind of all aspects, inside, outside, and the technology of the car. So in normal times, I'd be part of the team that was actually delivering face-to-face training to our dealer network and also delivering VIP evenings. So VIP guests such as yourselves could actually be invited along to a dealership of an evening or an afternoon, and you could take a sort of a guided tour around the vehicle, inside and out, and also ask us questions about the car that you may have. Now, of course, we're not in normal times, so that's not something we're doing at the moment, but it's given us a fantastic opportunity to be able to do a live streaming event where we can still show you around the car. We can get your questions because we've already had some come through on email. We've got the ability, if you've logged in through your YouTube user account or your Gmail account, you can actually ask questions in the comments, and the team here will get those questions to me. And we've got 4 opportunities this afternoon where we can actually answer as many of those questions as we possibly can for you in the time that we have. So I said that it's not normal times, hence we're doing a live streaming event. But rest assured, most of our dealers are actually open. So if you want to know where your closest dealer is, we've got a link in the description so you can find them. And also, we know there are some local restrictions, but most of the dealers are open, of course, with the social distancing in place and the sanitising stations for their safety and, of course, yours. So if after this you wanted to give them a call to make an appointment, book a test drive, whatever, you can find your local dealer through that link. So we hope you're looking forward to the car as much as we're enjoying actually showing you around it. So what we'll do now, let's take a look at the car. Firstly, let's introduce what we're going to be doing during this particular section with this car. So we're going to, first of all, take a look at the overview of the car and see what makes a Jazz a Jazz. Then we're going to look at the exterior, the interior, and also the technology and safety within the car. So what we have here is an EX grade. Of course, Jazz is available in SE, SR, EX, and now Jazz Crossstar as well. So if you are an existing Jazz owner, which I'm sure a lot of you are, you'll be thinking, lovely looking car. I hope they've retained the things that I love about the car, which I hope we have. So things like visibility, how easy it is to live with, things like the magic seats. Yes, of course, we want a brand new Jazz, but we want to make sure that it's got all of those features that you expect a Jazz to have. So the next thing you're probably thinking is, okay, it looks lovely. Will it fit down my garage, side of the house? Let's see. So even though we have more internal space, the car is only 16mm longer than the outgoing Jazz. The actual width of the car is exactly the same as the outgoing car. And if you look at it from the tips of the door mirrors, they're actually 14mm narrower than the outgoing Jazz, so even easier to live with on a daily basis. So that should tick that box off for us there. So I think you'll agree, a beautiful looking car. What we do want to do in this little overview as well is talk about some of the technology that we probably can't see, really. It's the fact we've got hybrid technology under that bonnet. Now, for most people, it's probably great stuff, hybrid. It means I've got an automatic style gearbox, I put it into D, I drive it, it's really easy to get on with, to live with. I'm going to get good performance, I'm going to get really good economy, my CO2 emissions are really low. However, if you're like me, you'll want to know how it's doing it, what it's doing. So for those people a little bit like me, we have 3 drive modes. And in those 3 drive modes, it'll be doing same kind of thing. In effect, it will be driving the front wheels via the drive motor, but the way it gets that power is different. So in EV mode, the power comes from the high voltage battery and it powers one of the electric motors up front to power the drive wheels. In hybrid mode, the 1.5 litre petrol engine up front is actually spinning a generator to create electricity that goes into the battery at the back, and then that will actually power the drive motor to drive the front wheels. In engine mode, this is where the petrol engine up front physically drives the electric drive motor to the road wheels. This is why, because it's always going through this electric motor, this is why you'll feel no difference between any of the modes. Now, that's okay for me to say stood here. The real proof is for you to actually try it yourselves. So please feel free at your convenience to contact your dealer for a test drive so you can really feel this for yourself. Now, we've already mentioned some of the things that we want to make sure we've got the same, like really good visibility, really good practicality, and usability, because we've retained those magic seats. We absolutely have. What we've also done is take things to the next level. So when we get inside, we'll look at our connectivity that we have inside the car, on our SR and our EX grades, and of course on the Jazz Crossstar as well. Now, I've mentioned this car because the Jazz Crossstar is fundamentally, it's based on the Jazz EX, so a top grade vehicle. And this is it's a proper lifestyle choice of vehicle because it's SUV styled. So it sits a tiny little bit higher, about 10 millimeters higher. We'll get different wheel design, we get different front and rear bumpers, we'll get side mouldings. For that active lifestyle, we've also got the water resistant seats inside. As we get higher up, you've got the choice of roofs on there, but we get a black roof with the roof rails on there again. So it could be, you know, any number of things that we're carrying for that active lifestyle. So again, if that's something that interests you, please contact your local dealer so that you can get a test drive on one of these vehicles and just have a bit of a walk around on it so you can see even more detail on either of these cars. So let's see if we've got any questions. Okay, great. So we've had some excellent questions come in, some through email and some through the comments. So thank you for those. I'll try and get them in the order that they came through, but I'm not going to promise. Andy, I believe yours was the first one through on email, which was a 3-part sort of series of questions. So first question from Andy was regarding spare wheel. So all of the Jazzes, like most of our other cars in the range, we actually give you the temporary repair kit and the air compressor. So should you get a puncture, you've got the ability to repair that roadside if you want to. Personally, I'd call out the Honda Care Assistance and let them do it for me, because you've got that 3-year cover with the car. Alternatively, they could take you to a garage to get the tyre fixed or replaced if that's something that you wanted to do there. And the reason we've done it is because on average people get punctures every 80,000 miles. Now, we probably all know somebody who's been really unlucky and had 2 punctures in a fortnight, but statistically it's 80,000 miles. So for that kind of distance, you'd be carrying around something that's taking quite a bit of boot space and also increasing the weight of the car, and that's going to hinder CO2s and of course the miles per gallon of the vehicle. So all of the Jazzes come with the temporary repair kit. Another quite specific question, Andy, as well, about have we done anything to help prevent a catalytic converter being stolen? So I'm guessing, Andy, you may have had one of the first generation Jazzes, possibly, or heard about these. So in 2002, when we first launched its predecessor, the catalytic converter was kind of midway along the car underneath. So there have been some instances where they've been accessed by people and they've been taken off. So sorry if that's happened to you, Andy. I'm guessing that there's quite a specific reason that you've asked this question. However, what we've done, in fact, on all of our cars, if we imagine the engine here, the catalytic converter is like that close from the engine, because of course they need to work at really, really high temperatures to be the most efficient. So I'm not saying it's going to be impossible if somebody's determined to, take this off a vehicle. They can do that, but actually it cannot be accessed from underneath. You'd actually physically need to break into the car, open the bonnet, and it would still be quite a struggle to do it. But everything that possibly could be done has been done, but predominantly that's for efficiency, but the byproduct is it's even more difficult for people to get to. And also you had a question about servicing. Well, the great news there, Andy, is that what we can offer is like a 5-year plan. So for £649, you've actually got 5 years worth of servicing, and that will cover all of your genuine parts. So the car still has oil filters, air filters, cabin filters, you'll need oil in there, and of course your technicians, trained Honda technicians, time to do that. So that's just £649 for 5 years worth of service, and a really, really good price there. What I'd add on to that as well is if you go for the EX grade or the Crossstar, we actually put a pre-installed Garmin app on the Connect system, so the infotainment system. Now ordinarily we'd give you 3 years worth of upgrades included, but if you take that servicing pack, we actually give you 2 more years to coincide with the service pack. So again, another advantage in going for that sort of fixed price servicing on there as well, or maintenance. So thank you for that, Andy. Then these are in no particular order but come through on the comments. We've had Richard asking about the wheel design, asking if they're alloys because it looks like they're plastic. So yes, they are alloy wheels. So we've got all of the advantages of the alloy wheels. Then what we do, we have got sort of decorative trims over the front of those to give them a more sort of 3D look to them as well. We also have a selection of accessory wheels as well, for like a diamond cut pattern. So we have a couple of options there, whatever sort of suits the kind of style you're looking for, Richard. And the Crossstar has diamond cut wheels as standard. So some different options there. Matthew's asking if the Crossstar is economical. Good question. So Matthew, the Crossstar, excuse me, in the combined cycle, the fuel economy, this is the WLTP standard. So the great thing is it's a standardized test. So you can compare car A to B to C in this same test. So same temperatures, same duration, same load on the car, all those things. And in the combined cycle, we get 58.9 in the Crossstar, which is really, really good. What I will say, a couple of things actually, is that when I was driving it and also the Jazz, I actually got quite a bit better fuel economy because probably none of us drive like that testing procedure is set up. Obviously it's really important to have an impartial test and it's as good as they can get, but there's nothing like driving the car yourself. So I would definitely try and get yourself a test drive so that you can see how the car drives and the kind of fuel economy you're going to get the way you drive the car. Just to give you a bit of a hint at how much it's improved, we didn't have a Crossstar before, however we've had Jazzes before, and if we compare the new Jazz and if we compare that with the outgoing Jazz with an automatic style transmission using the same WLTP testing procedure, we're actually 29% more fuel efficient. So that just gives you an idea of how much this technology is really, really helping us. So again, thank you for that one, Matthew. Then we had Colin asking if they're all hybrids. So absolutely, it doesn't matter whether we're going for SE, SR, EX, those are the 3 grades in Jazz, or whether the Crossstar, they're all going to benefit from that fantastic fuel economy and that nice drive on there as well. So yep, all hybrids for the new Jazz range there, Colin. And then we've got David. I think he's reminiscing a little bit here. So he's reminiscing about the cream colour of his Montego and wondering if we have anything similar. Well, the most similar we've got, David, is white. We have a couple of white options, but we don't do a cream. We do a premium sunlight white pearl. We've got a platinum white pearl. This one here is the premium crystal red metallic. We also do shining grey pearl. That's my favourite, a real nice, rich, solid kind of silver colour. We've got crystal black pearl, which is our base colour, and also midnight bloom beam metallic. So those are the colours for Jazz. Now, they probably don't mean a thing because they're just names. If you wanted to download a PDF brochure, you could do that after this session, and you'll get a representation of those colours. Of course, that's going to look different in the flesh when you see the car because of all the curves, the contours, and the way the light's actually going to reflect off the car. So definitely I would recommend trying to see the car in the flesh or in the metal to make sure it's the colour for you. However, I know you were looking at cream, but we do have quite a special colour for the Crossstar as well, which is surf blue. So you've seen a little clip already of the Crossstar in surf blue, and we'll show you a little bit later on as well. And also ours has got the black roof. So on some colours within Crossstar, you can actually opt for the optional black roof, or you could have it, the whole car sort of body coloured. So you've got a few different choices there, but we won't be able to do anything exactly like your Montego there, David, I'm afraid. So some great questions, folks. Keep them coming in. We'll do our best to answer as many as we possibly can. 3 more opportunities for those. But right now, let's take a look at the exterior. So let's take a look at the exterior of the car then. One of the first things you'll probably notice are the LED lights. So if I just unlock the car, we'll see that we've got full LED lights. We've got those at the front and at the back. And the benefit of LED lights, well, there's a number of them actually. You're more visible on the road, keeping you safer. You can see further, but also they create more of a daytime light. So if you're driving at night time, you're going to get less fatigue of the eyes. So again, keeping you safer, and it's more enjoyable to drive at night time. So in this sort of area, you'll notice that actually the overhang of the car, so the distance between the front of the car and sort of the centre of the wheel is really shallow. So just like we've had on previous Jazzes. And not only that, but the nose of the car is really compact as well. I can stand at the front of the car and literally touch the leading edge of the windscreen. Again, just reinforcing how compact this car is and how easy it's going to be to live with on a day-to-day basis. Now we've actually just drawn our attention to those wiper blades there. You can actually see that they rest underneath this little black section here. That's because inside we've got this low horizontal dash. What that also does, it keeps them out of the eye line of the driver and the passenger, just maximising your visibility. So we've got these hidden wipers. Also, the A-pillars, they're really, really narrow. So what we used to have in outgoing Jazz was a 69-degree angle of visibility. That's now gone to 90 degrees, which is class leading. So as I say, Jazz has always been brilliant for visibility. It's now gone that extra level, even more visibility, keeping you safer. So as we move around to the driver's door, what we'll notice is we actually have 3-stage opening. So we have our first position here, second position, and if somebody's left you enough room, you have your third position, making it really easy to get in and out of the car. So that is just a short introduction to the exterior of the car there. Great stuff. So we've had some more comments come through, and Steve is asking the actual torque of the electric motor, which is a really good question to ask actually, because it's the electric motor that's going to be driving the road wheels. So the torque of that is incredible. It's 253 Newton meters. It's more than double the torque of the petrol engine in the previous Jazz. So real nice power delivery, and of course one of the benefits of an electric motor, it has maximum available torque from basically what would ordinarily be stalling speeds. So really great power delivery on there. And I've used an abbreviation. I'm really sorry, Steve, I said WLTP. What that is, it's the Worldwide Harmonised Light Vehicle Test Procedure. So basically, it's a standardised test for the way we're actually going to do the testing of the fuel economy. As I say, it'll be set temperatures, set distances, speeds to get up to when the car's not moving, but then we can compare car for car for car. So hopefully that's answered both of those questions off there for you, Steve. Now Herman's asked a couple of questions. One of them, it was what is the gas mileage, which hopefully we've answered for you. So 58.9 for the Crossstar, and the Jazz starts at 62.8 to the gallon on the combined cycle. What I will say, as you've asked us gas mileage, maybe you're viewing from America perhaps, so they're not US gallons, they'd be sort of imperial or sort of UK gallons, might be a little bit different there, and what it costs. So we do have 4 grades in the range. So we start off with the SE at £18,895. We've then got the SR, which is £20,185. The EX that we've got here is £21,385, and the Crossstar starts from £22,635. So those are our on the road prices. What I will say is a lot of customers like to take out sort of like a PCP deal, so that they'll have a monthly payment that they can work that on. So we might want some paint protection, we might want accessories, so that we can get a one-off deposit maybe, and then obviously we've got our monthly payments. So your local dealer would be able to give you a price on that specific to how you want to spec your car. So those are the prices there. Then we've got Colin asking 2 questions about, are they all front wheel drive? Absolutely. So the electric motor is what's going to drive the front wheel. So whether it's the Jazz range or Jazz Crossstar, they're all front wheel drive. And his second question is about them being automatic. And they are, yes. So what we've done here is, because we don't actually need a gearbox as such, because that electric motor will literally spin or spin quicker to go quicker. We don't need a gearbox. It would be extra weight in the car, it would be extra space taken up. So what we can benefit from is the absolute smoothness that we're going to get, smoother than any kind of traditional automatic that you're going to experience. And more importantly for this kind of car is that efficiency, both miles per gallon and also the CO2 emissions. And Herman asked us another one about the standard safety features. Now we have actually got a little later on, we'll cover off for you as we'll sort of look at the exterior next, then the interior, then we'll actually go through some of those standard safety features for you. So if I can just defer that one till a little bit later on, Herman, we'll answer that off for you. And if you've got anything following when we go through that section for you, then please fire that question in again. So right now, let's take a look at the exterior. So now we're inside the car. First thing that strikes me, massive amount of space. You'd expect that from a Jazz. Then the next thing actually is, even though I'm sitting sideways, these seats are massively comfortable. So The support level, really good, and actually the material on the seats themselves is fantastic. So underneath this new material, we have anti-fatigue seats. So the actual structure or the base of the seat is a little bit different to what we've had before. So for short journeys, long journeys, not only are you going to be really supported, but you're going to feel nice and fresh at the end of that journey as well. So material on the seat, as I say, is really lovely, but it's not just that. The steering wheel, the soft touch on the dashboard, all the materials, all the touch points for you, they really are that next level up. So touching on the seats that we've got here, this is an EX grade, so we do have heated front seats and a heated steering wheel as well. But we couldn't talk about seats without remembering the magic seats. We've got the 60-40 split, they can fold flat down. We've got the ability to raise the bases up separately or together. And of course, when they're completely flat down, we've got a massive amount of loading space in the back. Actually, even with those magic seats up, we've still got 304 litres of boot space in the back of the car. And that loading edge is really low as well, making it easy to live with on a daily basis, getting the shopping in and out of the car. So that's sort of all behind us. What's in front of us is a massive amount of visibility. So we have the low flat dashboard, we have the hidden wipers, so literally all we can see is what's ahead of us. There's no distractions of seeing the top of wiper blades or anything, and that's really helped not only by the hidden wipers but the greater angle of view that we've got. So we used to be 69 degrees of angle, it's now 90 because of the slim A-pillars that we've got, making it safer for you on the road and actually just more enjoyable to drive the car as well. So while I was looking at the seat materials, I did notice a couple of buttons down there, and we've got an Econ button. So again, you might be familiar with this on one of your Hondas. So it will allow you to get better fuel economy out of the car. It can help the air conditioning run more efficiently from a consumption point of view. So that's all good. But just above that, we have another feature on this automatic style transmission. So at the top we have P for park, we've got R for reverse, N for neutral, D for drive, and then we have B. B is for brake. So this is like simulating engine braking. So if you're in D mode, you'll be driving along, and acceleration will be the same in both of the modes, but you'll be driving along in D mode. As you come off, if you come off the accelerator, you'll slow down because you're not being driven forwards anymore. If you're in B mode, however, what it would do, there'd be some slight resistance. This is actually in the hybrid system because it's doing like a high regeneration charge for your battery at the back, but it feels like engine braking. Now the beauty is you can be in D or B anytime you want. You can just literally pop it into either of those positions, whatever suits you best. So again, that's something for you to test drive. Try both of those modes and see which you prefer. So summing up, when we look at the interior of the car, we've got fantastic materials, we've got lovely touch to them, lovely feel to them, some nice tech down there as well. But actually from a practicality point of view, we've got our regular glove box, probably a bit difficult for you to see down there, but we actually have a secondary glove box just on the upper level of the dashboard. And to the side of that, I've got my cup holder here as a passenger, and you as a driver would have yours obviously on the right hand side of the steering wheel, and this is genius. So they are situated literally just in front of the air vent. So when you've got your climate control on, it's actually blowing that temperature air out on your drink. So in the winter, when you've got a nice cup of hot coffee and your heating's on in the car, it'll keep your coffee warm. On a summer's day when you've got a can of Coke and it's nice and chilled and your aircon's on cool, it'll keep it cool. And of course, if you want a hot cup of coffee in the summer, just switch the vent over. Absolute genius. Lovely. So again, the questions are nicely and steadily coming through here. So we've got Ben asking a question about auto drive, and I think he's got some concerns about driving one for the first time without any training. Now, this will differ from dealership to dealership because they may be doing accompanied test drives with personal protective equipment on, or they may not be. It might be something you'd need to wait for if you didn't feel comfortable in that situation yourself, obviously given the situation that we're in at the moment. But in normal times, our dealers would have no problem at all in helping you to just allay any fears, really. Get in the car and enjoy the drive. My top tip would be just forget you have a left leg. Pop it onto the footrest, out of the way, and just like you would do ordinarily, you know, when you're accelerating, you use your right foot, and when you're braking, you use your right foot. You're just literally not using that left leg. I know that's easily said, but what you will find is it's absolutely a joy to drive. But depending on how you feel and also what your local dealership is offering at the moment in sort of the way of test drives, I'd just give them a call, see what they can do, just to allay again those fears that you might have there, Ben. Steve's popped a question on for us. He's loving the look of the interior. Thank you very much. I'd like to pretend that I had something to do with the design of it, but I didn't. And are the materials moisture resistant? So I think Steve's picked up on something that we do have in the Crossstar here, which is a nice bit of info. So because of the sort of active lifestyle that we imagine a lot of people will have going for the Crossstar, actually we do have a water resistant seat fabric material on front and rear seats in the Crossstar. Now these are going to be, you know, as comfortable as they would be in the Jazz with its traditional materials, because they're not waterproof, they're water resistant. So you're absolutely right, and Steve, in the Crossstar we do have those, so you know, wipe those clean and they're going to be brilliant if you are, you know, loading things into the back of the car, maybe like a damp clothing after a walk, whatever it might be, it's going to just wipe off there. So thank you, Steve. And then Paul's asked a really great question here. I like this one because it's a little bit technical. So how does the motor drive through the electric motor without a gearbox? So our petrol engine has got a generator kind of attached to it. So when the petrol engine is running, it'll be generating electricity. Between that and the drive motor, there's actually a clutch pack, and that will engage and disengage when we're in engine drive mode. So if the clutch is allowing them to spin separately, which will be in EV mode or in hybrid mode, so you'll be in one of those two modes more often than engine drive alone, those two motors are totally separate. So you could have the petrol engine running or not, and that electric motor could still be driving us forwards or backwards, whichever. So that's why we don't need a gearbox, because all we do is we spin that sort of second motor faster or slower just to get the speed that we want. And as a result of that, we don't actually have a rev counter inside the car, because you don't need to know that. The car's working it all out for you with its power control unit. All you're doing with the accelerator is literally just demanding more or less power from the car, and it will always deliver that through the electric drive motor, and it will decide if it needs and when it needs to actually start up the petrol engine to spin the generator as well. So hopefully that answers that off for you there, Paul. Great question, because it was one of my first questions when we had CR-V hybrid, which is a very similar system. Obviously, yeah, different outputs for a different car, but the same type of system. So brilliant one there. Now the team have just popped another question down for me. So Daniel has asked, does the Econ button change the power delivery from the motors? So the power delivery is just from the drive motor, and it doesn't change necessarily the power of it, it's just your accelerator response. So if you, in normal mode, excuse me, as you're popping your accelerator down, you'll get the normal kind of acceleration. In Econ mode, you'll need to press the accelerator more to get the same amount of acceleration, unless you've got your foot flat to the floor. If you do have your accelerator flat to the floor in either of the modes, it will give you maximum power, because you might need all that power to safely get out of the way of something. So it's actually changing the delivery, so the output of it. And because electric motors are really efficient. That's why we can still have the same size motor, just demand less from it, and it will become more efficient. We're just using less energy. So again, really great question. Thank you for that, Daniel. So now let's take a look at the technology and the safety of both of these cars. So in this section, we'll take a little look at the safety and the technology that the Jazz and of course the Jazz Crossstar benefit from. So we have a compact car, and we actually have 10 airbags in it, a great headline feature there. So the additional 2 airbags that we've not had before in Jazz are the driver's side airbag. Now this isn't the side to the outside, it's between me and my passenger, and it's to protect our heads from each other. So myself from the passenger. The other airbag that I benefit from is, as a driver, is a knee airbag. So again, we're expecting really good safety ratings when it comes to Euro NCAP for new Jazz and Jazz Crossstar. However, we have some features that are going to help prevent accidents happening in the first place. All of our Jazzes actually come with Honda sensing as standard. Now this is a really comprehensive suite of features, some which will actively apply braking for me to help mitigate or prevent accidents, and some of them just help me drive with less fatigue, so again keeping me safer. Just one example would be lane keeping assist system, LCAS. And what this does, it uses the camera up on the centre part of the windscreen there to look at the painted lines on the road. Now if you're driving along on the highway, the motorway, the dual carriageway, you don't really realise the tiny little inputs you're putting into the steering wheel to keep you in a straight line. What the car does on your behalf, it looks at the painted lines and it tries to keep you centred. So it will put little bits of input on your behalf, so you're not having to do it, which means you've got less driver fatigue. It also means you're safer because you're in the middle of the lane. And if you get a little bit closer one side or the other, or you change lane without indicating, it'll offer some resistance and it will give you audible and sort of visual notification as well, just to make sure that you weren't drifting unintentionally there. So as I say, that is purely one of the many features that we've got within sensing that's standard on the car. When we get inside the car though, thinking now of the technology that's inside there, we've got our Honda Connect system, and also the way the car is connected to you as a driver. So again, we've taken this to the next level. Some of you may, in your current Jazzes, have the Connect screen, so the monitor on there, where you can get your sat-nav, you can pick your digital radio stations, fantastic. We still have that for you. But what we have on most of the grades is the ability that rather than going into the glove box to get a paper-based owner's manual, if you wanted to have a read through that, we've got a digital one in that Connect screen for you, that Connect system. What we also have is the personal assistant. So if you wanted to, you can subscribe to this, and you don't actually need a smartphone in the car. So you could benefit from features very similar to sort of Siri or your Google Assistant inside the car without the need for a smartphone, whereby you could actually, change a radio station. You could actually find a particular restaurant with free car parking. You literally say, "Okay, Honda," then you would give it the command. You can touch the screen as well if you wanted. There's 2 ways of activating it. But again, we're just trying to make it more usable, and some of the features that you enjoy at home, we're actually putting into the car. So making it more like the kind of activities that you would do inside the car, like changing the stations, making it easier for you. And again, that makes it safer for you as well, because you're not having to take your hands off the steering wheel. Everything can be done via voice control. Now, one further thing we have as well is that if you do have a smartphone, you can download a free app, My Honda Plus. And again, there are many things on here, so please get in contact with your dealer. They can give you a sort of a comprehensive introduction to this. But one of my favourite features on there is that through Wi-Fi, as long as your car is in an area, so it's not in like an underground car park or something, so anywhere you're normally going to leave your car, it has access to Wi-Fi. You can actually unlock and lock the doors, or you can check the status of it. If you've left your car at the train station and you're thinking, did I lock the doors? You can actually go onto your phone, see if it's locked or unlocked, and if it is unlocked, you can lock it. Absolutely fantastic feature. Now, that is, as I say, that is some really, really top line stuff on the technology and the safety we've got in there. So again, I'm sure we'll probably get a couple of questions. Okay, so the last couple of questions that have come in. First one is, are there any plans for a full electric version? So I'm guessing of the Jazz, or do we have to wait for the Honda E? No plans as far as I'm aware of for a fully electric Jazz. So what we've got at the minute, as I say, we've got the SE, SR and EX grade of Jazz in hybrid, and of course the Crossstar also in hybrid, which is not plug-in, so literally self-charging, really easy to live with. If you are interested in a sort of urban commuter electric vehicle, then our dealers, most of them have got their demonstrators now of the Honda E, so that is something that you could take a look at, and of course that is 100% battery electric vehicle, so plug it in overnight and then you've got a full charge to do your journey the next day. So two different vehicles, although they're similar, they're going to I imagine appeal to different people for different purposes, or just styling wise, because they do look quite different to each other. And then on email we had Ross asking about parking sensors. So right, the great news is that most of the cars come as standard with them front and rear. So SR, EX and the Jazz Crossstar all have front and rear parking sensors. What may be interesting for you actually, if you think, well, parking sensors are really useful because of, you know, reversing into tight spots or what have you, is that actually the EX grade of Jazz and the Jazz Crossstar also have rear view cameras. So as soon as you pop it into reverse on that big infotainment system in the centre, that will bring up the view from, you know, from behind the vehicle. And you have three choices of view. So you've got like a wide angle view, then you've got an even wider angle view, and you've got straight down. So if you were reversing up to maybe like a brick wall or something, you can see straight down as if you've got an eye looking down over the bumper. So again, you could park right on that white line if you wanted to in a parking bay. You've just got that choice at the tap of the screen to get what you want there. The other thing you have with the rear view camera is the ability to add guidelines on there. So if you want just literally the view of what's behind you, you can have that. If you want fixed lines, you can have those, and they'll be yellow. So in the screen, it will show you like a dotted line, then three solid lines to give you an idea if they're like 0.5 metre, 1 metre, or and so on behind when you're reversing up to something as a guide. And you can have, or you can have, your choice, dynamic lines. And they're the ones that when you put some lock on the steering wheel, they will actually curve, showing the sort of intended path that the car will end up in if you keep that same lock on. So again, you've just got that choice of whether you want the dynamic lines alone, the fixed lines alone, both of those, or neither of those. So some really, really great technology on these cars. And as I mentioned, that rear view camera would also be on the Crossstar. So I think what we'll do now, if we take a little look in a minute at the Crossstar, that's probably our next point. So now we've seen the Crossstar up a little bit closer, and obviously we've taken a good look around the Jazz and also inside the Jazz and the technology. And now I hope you'll agree with me that that design brief that the engineers were given to make a fantastic car even better, they've absolutely hit the nail on the head. So how you measure a car, for me, one of the things that I like to do is find out that if I look closer at a car, does it get better the more I look? And this does. The more you look at it, the more detail you find, the better the quality you find, and that to me is true quality. You might be interested in the amount of technology on the car. It could be because of the wireless CarPlay, the fact you've got Android Auto, or you can have a Wi-Fi hotspot inside the car for your passengers to use when they're in the back seat on their tablets, whatever it is. The technology on these cars is tremendous. It could be about safety. We know we've got 10 airbags inside the car, which is amazing. We know we've got Honda sensing, which we've kind of touched on because there are so many elements within that to help keep you safer, to help mitigate collisions, and to help reduce the driver fatigue as well. There are many of those within the cars as a standard feature on all grades. Or it could be styling. It could be, I personally prefer the Jazz, or I personally prefer the Jazz Crossstar. They're similar, yet quite different. So of course we're going to prefer one over the other. Or it could be about in anticipation of your test drive, because you might be thinking, well, we've had a few comments about the power delivery system, the electric motors, and you're probably thinking, well, what does it drive like? Duncan's already said that you can't feel a transition between electric vehicle mode, hybrid mode and engine mode, but you're bound to say that. But it's true, 100% guarantee you will not feel a difference when it's clicking between EV, hybrid or the engine mode, because it's impossible to do that. But of course you're going to want to feel that for yourself. So if you do think of any questions after this session has finished, next week after, or you want to book yourself a test drive, remember, we've put a link in the description so that you can find your local dealer, and they'll be absolutely delighted to hear from you, book you in so that they can show you the car when you feel comfortable in the flesh, and maybe even book that test drive for you. So on behalf of myself, the small team here, and of course the bigger family at Honda UK, and of course your local dealer for sending you the link for this, we'd like to thank you for spending a small part of this afternoon with us. It is Friday, so we'd love to wish you a really good Friday night and a safe weekend. So thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and take care.